For 2021, data shows the number of temporary foreign workers here in Canada jumped nearly 12% compared to 2020. That marked the biggest increase since 2016. In the U.S., the issue is tangled in a political web as farmers and growers deal with labor shortages and push for changes to H-2A. John Phipps has more on the topic this weekend in Customer Support.
This week, a deceptively complex question about immigrants. I often wonder about the pros and cons of undocumented illegal immigrant labor. Specifically, what is the magnitude of undocumented labor in agriculture? Is there any possibility of transitioning from an illegal to a legal work permit-based labor force for the undocumented? And that's from John Connolly in Roanoke, Virginia, who has one of the coolest street names I've ever seen. It's a great question. First, I want to clarify some labels. Illegal, undocumented, and unauthorized are used interchangeably for such immigrants, but all carry some overtones of political position or bias. I will use undocumented, and everyone can read into it what they will. Second, there are multiple reliable sources for statistics on this issue, but always some degree of difference in the numbers because the population in question is, well, undocumented. Here is the total undocumented population as of last February, February 22. It appears to be virtually fixed at about 11 million people, of which some 8 million are employed, which is about 5% of our total workforce. The point of this graph is there is no surge in undocumented population in the U.S. and hasn't been for several years. About half are from Mexico. Many undocumented become citizens, and many are increasingly leaving voluntarily. While this exodus is true for about a dozen countries, the undocumented population of Mexican immigrants, which is the largest source, has dropped by a third, from 6.6 million to 4.4 million since 2010. As for industry-specific data, agriculture employs about 14% of those workers, largely in fruit and vegetable production and dairy. However, within agriculture, undocumented labor was about half of all employees. I'm pretty sure, but willing to be corrected, that this does not include meat packing, which I think shows up in manufacturing. These numbers are from 2017, however, and labor shortages have prompted many produce growers to shift to low labor crops like nuts. I think a transition answer is a path to citizenship for the undocumented, which has been proposed in several forms and is supported by a large majority of Americans, over 70%. Unfortunately, not enough of those supporters are in Congress.
All right, what is the tie between basketball and farming? We will celebrate March Madness next on U.S. Farm Report.